YouTube, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Moto Mondays. This is episode 2, and today we're going to be talking about a new piece of equipment, really, let's call it. A new piece of gear. If you guys noticed in the last video, I have a new motovlogging setup. It's a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier, but the biggest thing is the new helmet. It is a Ruroc Atlas V4. Or 4.0, whatever they call it. I'm not actually here to talk about the helmet itself, though. If you guys want a review on that, let me know. I'd be happy to do one. What we're here to talk about today is the thing that's going to replace these glasses. This. Ruroc just released their transition lens or photochromic shield for their Atlas helmets. Now, photochromic shields, for those of you guys that don't know, are like transition shields. So it goes from light to dark depending on the sun and, the brightness outdoors. So, like, if you were riding with this thing like it is today, you guys can, take a nice little peek around here and just see it as a beautiful sunny day here in California. And as you can see, it's dark. This thing is tinted like a normal full-on tinted lens. Then if we were going to go ride around at night, this thing would be pretty much totally clear. And it's a really nice piece of hardware. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about pros and cons for whether or not you should use a transition shield. Now, we're going to start right away with the pros of this helmet. And one pro that I'm going to speak to just specifically for Ruroc, not for other, photochromic shields necessarily that I know. This one has a built-in fog dampening system. It's not quite as good as like a pin lock, but it is an anti-fog shield just itself, which is awesome. So that's pro number one, but that's kind of like that's a unique to this lens or this shield specifically. So, talking about the pros, first things first, convenience. That is the number one and will be the number one for all transition shields like this. It means that while you're riding, if you're going to be doing a long day where you're going to be riding in the dark at some point, you don't have to carry an extra shield. You don't have to carry something in your bag and then pull over and stop and, change lenses, all that kind of stuff, just to make sure you have a clear shield. This thing will do the job. When when it gets to be too dark at night, it's good to go. It's already on your face. It's already going clear. You're good. Pro number 2 is definitely going to be the style of it. I think that personally, as far as the convenient sort of modular system is concerned, these things are the best when it comes to style. I think that, it can be okay to have like a drop-down inner shield on your helmet too, but the problems with that is that, A, sometimes they look a little goofy, they look a little like, I don't know, cyborgy when you have a clear outer shield and then, like the tinted inner shield that kind of looks like sunglasses that drop down. You can also wear sunglasses under a clear shield too. That works. But again, I don't know. I just feel like, I guess for me, maybe I'm being too picky on that, but I just feel like clear shields are kind of, I don't know, not ugly, but let's be honest here. Having a tinted visor always looks better, right? So number 2 is definitely going to be the style, that's for sure. And then number 3, and this is one that not everyone really thinks about, is safety. And the safety aspect comes into play with it when instead of having two, sort of transition shields or whatever, you would rock something like this and you would have a shield and glasses. Now, my glasses, these ones from Heatwave, I also got transition lenses on these glasses because sometimes I don't ride with a full face helmet on. But if you're riding with just glasses, that's not going to give you as much protection as a full face, full shield helmet. That kind of goes back to having those, those dual shield setups too, is that sometimes those helmets themselves can be kind of not as safe just because they have that extra mechanism in there for the additional shield. meaning if you do happen to get in an accident, sometimes their safety ratings don't hold up as well as just single piece helmets. So if you can get a transition shield, you're good to go. Now we're going to get into some of the cons to, you know, having a transition shield like this. So con number one, and this is going to be the top of, I think, everyone's list, is they're expensive. That's just clean and simple. I think you can get a new shield for most helmets is going to run you about 60 to 80 bucks or so, depending on what brand, you know, what shield you actually need. I think that's kind of around where Ruroc's normal ones are. And then transition shields are going to run you closer to like 150 to 200 bucks. And that's, you know, that's just kind of par for the course. Unfortunately, you know, you're paying for more technology, you're paying for more functionality, but the cost is going to be the first prohibitive thing. So that's con number one. Con number two, transition shields aren't really appropriate for if you're going to be doing riding where the lighting conditions are going to change rapidly all at once. So like if you're riding through, like right now, right, we're riding through kind of this tree coverage, and a little bit of that isn't bad. A little bit of shadowing, not that big a deal. But if I come into, you know, like a tunnel or like a full kind of tree covered area where it's like dark, my shield is tinted, so all of a sudden it's like I'm riding in pitch blackness practically, and or like you're riding with a tinted shield at night. And then it takes a minute for the shield to kind of recognize that and transition back. Now I will say, Ruroc is pretty quick. Like they transition, this one transitions fast, but it's not instantaneous at all. So it's definitely going to be a little bit more like, you know, you're gonna be kind of in the dark for like immediate changes in lighting conditions. If you're looking for something like that, I think at that point you're gonna need to run like a 2-shield helmet where you have one that's clear, one that's tinted, so you can just flip it up and down, and then the transition happens instantly. So that's con number two. And then con number three is going to be the longevity of these helmets. Unfortunately, because of the chemical compounds that are in them that allow them to change with the lighting, sometimes due to either extreme heat, extreme cold, they're not as effective, or they also can sort of wear out. So over time, rather than having a shield that goes from like totally clear to really dark, you might end up with one that goes from like kind of almost all the way clear to like pretty dark but not all the way, and then you end up having to replace it. So that's kind of, you know, that's kind of something to look out for. Whereas like if you get just a solid either colored, tinted, clear shield, whatever, it's just gonna last. It's just gonna, you know, it's just gonna be a thing. Now I don't know, longevity wise, if anyone's going to run the same helmet setup for long enough that these things are going to, you know, deteriorate like that. I think you'd have to be using it in some pretty extreme conditions for that to even be a concern, because I don't know, I think DOT recommends that you replace your helmet, what, once every 5 years or something like that. I mean, I don't know how many guys are doing that just of their own free will, unless they want to get a new helmet for the style of it. But that's kind of something to think about if you are someone, I guess, that would be running this for a really long time, or you are using it where it's really, really hot or like really cold all the time when you're riding. I don't know, just, you know, just my 2 cents on it. But either way, I've been thoroughly enjoying riding with this thing. I think it's a really solid piece, and you know, as far as my uses are concerned for it, it's been great. Now, like I said, if you guys want to see a video on just the helmet itself as well, and I can talk about some of the other features of the Ruroc 4.0 versus the 2.0, no, it's been a helmet that's been out for a long time. So this shield, honestly, it's like I said, the shield's been great. It's you know, it's actually been really good, especially for days like today where it goes from like, you know, really sunny to kind of overcast like this. It's been perfect because you end up with a shield that's like It's not super duper dark when you don't need it, but it's still providing you a little bit of that tint for, you know, making sure you're comfortable, you're not squinting in the sunlight. It's awesome. So if you guys have any more questions about the shield, the helmet, you know, whatever it might be, just let me know in the comments down below. I'll be sure to touch on it. Also, if you guys have any other suggestions for future Moto Monday content, if you guys are enjoying the series and the first couple episodes, let me know. I know it's just kind of your standard moto vlog for now, but we'll see where it takes us. So anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for me. I'm gonna go grab some lunch right now, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.